Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of For Honor Executions Graded. This is a series where we take a look at all of our For Honor heroes and give them a grade for their executions based on just how good they really are. And today looks like we have a new student in the class. Everyone say hello to Sohei, the newest hero to For Honor with an all-new set of executions to be graded. And aren't we just so happy to have him, folks? That's right. And
sorry about that, folks. I had something in my throat there. Anyway, welcome guys to this new Executions Graded. We'll be taking a look at Sohei's executions. If you are new to the channel or new to this series and don't know what's going on, I will briefly explain, but it would help if you took a look in the upper right hand corner of the screen or down in the description below. We're going to be led to a video called That's an Execution, where I play out my rubric for you guys so that you know just what kind of rules I go by to grade these executions. Essentially what I do is I grade them based on 4 criteria. Lethality, how deadly is it? Realism, how realistic is it? Efficiency, how quick and how useful is it? And then cool factor, just how awesome is it and does it fit their overall vibe and personality? Then, after I get those 4 grades, I put them together to create a final grade for that execution. Then I take all the executions they have and average them out to get a final grade for that hero. And I have done this with all the heroes in For Honor so far, except Sohei. That's what we're here to do today. Now, if you guys are familiar with this series, what do you guys think it'll be? Let me know in the comments what do you think it'll be, and then let me know later if you ended up being right, because this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm very, very much excited. So let's not waste any time and jump right into it. First up is Throat Tickler. Okay, Throat Tickler. So let's go ahead and start with lethality. The head came off, so that's an automatic 4, because anytime the head comes off, you know it means they're dead. They are just done. 4 for lethality, no question. For realism, I had to really think about this one. I'm going to have to give it a 2 for realism. Now, here's the thing. I think a lot of the movement here is realistic, but I think the problem is the head came off a little too easily. I think it popped off way too easily for that to happen. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that the throat would tear. I think you'd cut a lot of the neck with that, and you probably would cut off a large part of the neck, but I don't think you'd see the head just pop off that easily. I think that would be a little too difficult to do. So I gave this a 2 for realism for that. Now, for efficiency, though, I give it a 4. This is very quick, a very quick stab to the throat, and then a kick out from the leg to knock him down, and then you just keep going. I like that. That is an efficiency of 4, no doubt. But for cool factor, I'll be honest, of his executions, this is probably the weakest. I know they needed a fast one, but it's just pretty basic, you know. You're shoving a spear into the throat and then kicking him off of it, and that's fine. It's okay, but I don't know. I was hoping for something a little bit more wild from this guy than just that, because after all, even though he's a Sohei, he's giving off this very wild and very fierce kind of demeanor, so I was thinking something much more ferocious, so I gave it a 2 for cool factor. Not that it's bad by any means, but I did have to give it a cool for 2 factor. It just does not wow me like some of the others I've seen. So that gives this execution a 12 out of 16, which is a 75%. Not a bad grade starting out, Sohei. Not a bad one. I think that we'll see a lot more good ones to come. Next up is Face Meet Metal. Ooh, beautiful. All right, Face Meet Metal. So again, for lethality, this was tricky because of the placement of the blade. I had to look at this from various angles. I had to really do some research onto this, but I'm going to say this is a 4 for lethality. Now, in the Warrior's Den, they said that they made this execution initially strike through the face, but the height of the Yari changed in production, so they adjusted it so that it went through the chest into the heart. I looked at where the blade entered, and yes, that could be the heart, but it also looks a little high, and if it is higher than the heart, it would be going through thoracic trachea, which is still a one-shot kill if it does hit that, because the thoracic trachea is an incredibly important part of the body, so just puncturing that would still kill. So this is a 4 for 4 in lethality. Again, very well done. For realism, I'm going to give this a 4 as well. Nothing about this screamed unrealistic to me. In fact, believe it or not, I think this was very realistic. So I would say 4, flawless realism. For efficiency, though, I do have to give it a 2. He takes a little too long with the setup. I actually don't mind him doing the initial punch here, but the second one was unnecessary, and then the slow, systematic process of slamming him into the blade felt a little unneeded. Like, he didn't need this. He didn't need to pause there to do the stab. Everything else was fine, like the stabbing into the chest, the initial punch to get him dazed, that was fine. But everything after that, it just didn't work for me. So that's a 2 for efficiency. But for cool factor, gave it a 3. This one is a lot cooler than the last one. It actually feels pretty solid. I think the only problem with it for me is, you know, you get this buildup of double punching, so I kind of was hoping for something a little bit more bombastic or crazy. Like maybe he, instead of punching him with the shaft this time, he punches him with the blade right through the face or something. But you know what, honestly, it's still good. I still like this one pretty well. So that gives this one a 13 out of 16, which is an 81%. This one is a good one. I actually like this execution. It's the one they showed over and over again in the Warrior's Den, so it definitely stands out. Next up, it's Sukii. Oh, that's good. That's good. Okay, so for lethality, first of all, that is 100% lethal. The way the spear enters the body, we see the full blade come out the other end, and part of the horizontal portion coming part way through, only part way through the blade, now, or part way through the body. So what I think about that is the amount of trauma that would be caused by both sets of the blade going through. Even if it isn't hitting anything directly vital, I mean, here it's probably hitting a lung, so that's vital. But even if it was missing all the vital organs, the amount of trauma and damage it would be causing going through like that would be unquestionably lethal. So I definitely think that this is lethal, no doubt about it. Now, Sukii, if I'm doing my Japanese right, means moon spear or spear of the moon. An interesting translation. Someone correct me if I'm wrong about that, but I think this is just really badass, and I think it's a reference to Ben-K's legend. So, just all in all, I really do think this was awesome, but we'll get to that in cool factor. Sorry, I'm a little scatterbrained. I'm just loving these executions so much. For realism, I'm going to give it a 3. I think the reason I give it a 3 for realism is just this. I don't think from that range he could have one-handed shoved the spear that deep into someone. I think it would require a little bit more build-up and a little bit more wind-up and a lot more power to shove it that deep into someone with just a one-handed spear thrust. I think you need a little bit more build-up to be able to do that, and then even if you could get it that deep, it would take a lot of work to pull it out again one-handed. So I did give it a 3 for realism. For efficiency, I'm also going to give it a 3. Now, believe it or not, I actually am not giving it this because of the arrows. What I find really cool here is the use of arrows to hit him. And I think it's badass that he actually walks through the arrows to hit him. The reason I give him a 3 is because as soon as he got hit by the arrows, he should have rushed him. Instead of this slow walk, he should have rushed him, because realistically speaking, if you're being bombarded with arrows, you want to get behind cover, and he's your first cover. So I would actually get to him as quick as possible and stab him out right there, just like that, but do it a little bit quicker to take care of him that much faster, so that you can get rid of those, so you can get him as cover and get rid of those arrow volleys. So that would be my only complaint there. And then finally, for cool factor, I give it a 4. This is my favorite execution from him so far. It is just such a badass execution. It is so cool. And like I said, I think it's a reference to Ben-K. In The Legend of Ben-K, when his master, Yoshitsune, was committing seppuku, he guarded the temple he was committing seppuku in from the people who wanted to kill or capture Yoshitsune. He held it off for hours, killing, I think, up to 300 people. And so they bombarded him with arrows, but he didn't fall. So they finally approached to see what had become of him, and they saw that he had died standing up, peppered with arrows. So I think this is a reference to that. That might be why they call it Sukii, because supposedly he did this at night under the light of a moon. So this could be a reference to that. That's what I think. But again, someone can correct me if I'm wrong about that. But that gives this execution a grade of 14 out of 16, which is an 88%. That is a really good grade. I'm very proud of you, Sohei. Nice job. Oh, God, that's so badass. And I'm sorry if I seem distracted. I just keep watching these executions over and over because they just look so cool. Nice. And finally, we have Mercy Kill. Okay. So, For Mercy Kill, this is lethal. 4 out of 4 for lethality. Very lethal. In fact, it was lethal right at that point when he stabbed the spear into the neck. All of this after that is preamble. He was dead the minute his sword went through that. Now, here's the thing. A stab through the neck is not 100% lethal by itself. But the fact that the blade went clean through the neck out the other end means it's going clean through the esophagus. You would need to be in a hospital when this happens in order to save yourself. And unfortunately, there are no hospitals in this time period that would be able to save you, even if you were in one. So this is unquestionably lethal right off the bat. So 4 out of 4 for lethality. Realism, again, this is 4. There's nothing about this that you could not do. I actually like the neck break at the end. That is a very creative way to break the neck. What he's done is he's stabbed the blade through the neck and through the spinal column running down the neck, the vertebra, and then twisting and therefore cracking the vertebra, which is awesome. And even if he's not stabbing the spine itself, he's caught the muscle, so when he jerks the muscles, it jerks the spine with it. It's the same principle as when you break someone's neck with your hands. So that's a 4 out of 4 for realism. For efficiency, though, I do have to give it a 2. This slow walk, this slow lumbering along was not necessary. And in the middle of a battlefield, when you're in the midst of battle, keeping yourself exposed like that is not a good idea. Now, one thing to bear in mind, I'm not saying he's unarmed. He could very easily grab one of his other weapons and defend himself if he's attacked. I agree with that. But the problem here is not necessarily him being able to defend himself. My problem here is he is leaving his allies to keep fighting when he could be helping them, and he's keeping himself exposed to a back attack. The problem is, you're in the middle of a battlefield, you need to get your kill and move on, and I think that's the problem here, so that's a 2 for efficiency. But for cool factor, 4, unquestionably 4, unarguably 4. It is so cool. It just feels sick. It feels like this demon who has killed you and is now deciding what to do with you, and they decide to show you mercy by breaking your neck. Because that's what this is. That's why it's called Mercy Kill. Think about it like this. If he yanks out the spear, you're going to bleed out, slowly, painfully, drowning in your own blood. Instead, he breaks your neck. He ends your suffering quickly. So basically, let me decide. I'll let you die. I'll let you die in peace. And that is really, really cool. That gives this execution a 14 out of 16 and an 88%, just like the last one. Another excellent score. Very well done. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all of the executions we have so far for our boy Sohei. So, how did he do? Well, if we take all the scores he got and average them out, we get a final score for Sohei of 83%. That is not bad. That is not bad. That's a good starting score and pretty solid for what we've seen from other heroes in the past. So honestly, Sohei is starting out pretty strong. I think the biggest regret I have with Sohei, and a lot of people have mentioned this before as well, is despite him having 7 weapons, none of his executions employ the other weapons. They all use the Yari spear. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand why that is. When we watched the animation in the Warriors Den, we saw how limited they were able to be with these weapons. It required a lot of new animation principles, and I can see why they were hesitant to start making new executions just with these new weapons, so I get the limitations. But I won't lie, it's a little disappointing to see this absolute unit loaded up with weapons, and we didn't get to see any executions from all of them. So I understand that wholeheartedly, but that may mean in the future when we get more executions for this guy, we may get to see those new weapons in action. Who knows? I'm excited. I think it'll be pretty cool. But regardless of that, this was a good starting out executions graded for Sohei. But what did you guys think? Were you right in your guess? Were you too low? Were you too high? Do you think that I was good in this executions graded? Do you think that I got him right? Do you think that I was fair? Let me know down in the comments what you think, respectfully, of course. And tell me what you guys think of Sohei. I'm enjoying him. I think that he's a very fun and creative hero. Maybe not the best hero out there, but still a very fun one. But let me know down in the comments. And as always, guys, I will see you in my next video.
Class dismissed.